At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Colorado Rockies. Friday Night Baseball is presented by Jeep. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by the Summer of Jeep celebration going on now. By New York State Health Department. Talk with your doctor for help quitting smoking or call 1-866-NY-QUITS. By Fios by Verizon. Fios is not cable. We're wired differently. Visit getfios.com today. By Geico, over 75 years of savings and service. And by Tri-Honda. Hurry to your local Tri-Honda dealer for great deals on 2016 models. Well, as the weekend begins at Citi Field, there is one topic of conversation. It's a weekend to celebrate maybe the greatest hitter the Mets have ever had. His number will be retired tomorrow night, but Mike Piazza jerseys on everybody's back, and Mike is everywhere in the ballpark. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets play the second game of their four-game series against the Colorado Rockies. Two straight losses for the Mets, both blown ninth-inning leads. And today the news that Juan Lagares is going to miss most of the rest of the season. The thumb injury that he tried to play through for a month and a half, just too much for him. He's going to undergo surgery. Meanwhile, because of that, the Mets are going to mess with their batting order a little bit. Travis d'Arnaud moves up to the number 2 spot in the batting order as you look at the Geico starting lineup.
You know, I don't think it's a bad move because Travis d'Arnaud has raised his average about 35 points since he came back from the injury. He's been hitting the ball the other way. He hasn't done much damage, to tell you the truth, but he's been getting his base hits. For a guy that hasn't played a lot in the last few games, just shaking up the lineup I think is important for the Mets.
And the good news, Yoenis Cespedes is back in that lineup, although Jose Reyes is still out. Meanwhile, on the mound for the Mets is Steven Matz, coming off a terrific start in Miami his last time out.
It was great watching him pitch, using his curveball much more. Watching Matz, though, he has 5 starts this year where he hasn't allowed a run. That's tied with Michael Fulmer, who's the leading guy right now in the American League for Rookie of the Year.
Tyler Chatwood, coming back from Tommy John surgery, missed all of last year. He has been a guy the Mets have not been able to touch.
They really haven't. He's had 2 Tommy John surgeries, one in high school and then one recently, but 9 wins this year on this pitching staff of the Rockies, which has gotten much better.
What a strange last start against the Braves. 8 walks in 5 innings, but did not allow a run. It's the Mets and the Rockies, the start of Mike Piazza weekend at Citi Field. All the action coming your way tonight on SNY. Ball on SNY is brought to you by Toyota. For great summer deals, visit your local Toyota dealer or buyatoyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. By Astoria Bank, the difference is wanting to make a difference. Visit AstoriaBank.com. And by New York Lottery, take a break from the expected play scratch-off games from the New York Lottery. Get to Citi Field Saturday, August 13th to watch the Mets take on the San Diego Padres at 7:10. Plus, stay after the game as Styx, one of the most popular rock groups of all time, performs as part of the Mets postgame concert series presented by Budweiser. Admission to the concert is included in the price of the game ticket. For tickets, visit Mets.com/concerts. Mets Power Pitchers of the Week brought to you by East Coast Power and Gas. They're the lowest team ERAs in the National League. Mets are third, a shade behind the Cubs and the Nationals heading into the game tonight. Welcome to Citi Field. Mets and Rockies are next. First pitch is coming right up. Steven Matz coming off his first win in nearly 2 months. His last start in Miami on Sunday. And now back to the Citi Field mound to face the Colorado Rockies for the first time ever. Late change in the Rockies lineup. David Dahl wasn't supposed to start. Ryan Rayburn was supposed to play left field. He got hit in the knee during batting practice, and so he was a late scratch. Dahl was added. Otherwise, the same unit for the Rockies, who scratched out a 2-1 ninth inning victory in yesterday's series opener. Your Hyundai Rockies starting lineup.
Well, you would think that Steven Matz, you see his Land Rover numbers, would love pitching here at Citi Field, but last 5 starts he has not gotten a win, although his ERA just a nifty 3.19. Defensively behind Matz this evening. Another game with Conforto in center, flanked by the veterans Cespedes and Granderson. Infield every day now. Wilmer Flores at third base, Cabrera, Walker, and Loney with the injury to Jose Reyes. And Travis d'Arnaud, we talked about him being in the number 2 hole behind the plate.
Reyes trying to come back from an intercostal injury that he suffered on Tuesday night. Terry Collins said he was feeling better today, but very little chance that we'll see Reyes tonight. We'll see what happens going forward. Well, the Mets got great starting pitching yesterday from Jacob deGrom. 7 brilliant innings, but that proved not to be enough. Charlie Blackmon will lead things off. The Rockies' top 4 in the batting order: Blackmon, LeMahieu, Arenado, Gonzalez. Tremendous combination at the top of the order. They combined to go 2 for 18 yesterday. First pitch of the game from Matz is taken at the knees for a strike, and we're underway. Blackmon 0 for 4 in yesterday's game, hitting .296 for the year. Doesn't give up much against left-hand pitching. He's hitting .271 against lefties. And he slashes one foul, and Matz ahead 0-2. Rockies the leading scoring team in the National League, although you always have to put an asterisk next to that. Rockies average 5.1 runs per game for the season, but a run more at home and a run less on the road. Line the other way, and Blackmon's got a 2-strike hit to start the night.
Well, these are the kind of pitches that Steven Matz going to have to button up a little bit. 0-2 count, tries to come inside, misses over the middle of the plate, and Blackmon, just protecting, just dumps it into left field.
So a leadoff base runner, and now DJ LeMahieu, who was 1 for 5 yesterday. Well, remember the first batter of the game in Matz's last start? It was Miguel Rojas. Hit a liner into right center field, and Michael Conforto made a brilliant diving catch to start the game.
You're saying Steven was expecting the same from Cespedes in left?
I'm just saying that he just have to survive that first batter. LeMahieu showing bunt, takes a strike, and it's 1-1. Nolan Arenado waiting on deck. LeMahieu starts the night 4th in the National League in batting, hitting .325, but also hits into a lot of double plays, 16 of them this year. That's more than any hitter in the National League.
After that squaring around there by LeMahieu, I go back to last night. Rene Rivera, after the game, interesting comment he made about the bunt that he didn't pick up. He said, everything in my gut told me it was going foul, and it just didn't. You know, he owned up to it.
Let's get the sinker in for a strike, 1-2. There's Rene, who was right in the middle of everything yesterday. Drove in the Mets' only run. Got thrown out twice on the bases. Had that play go against him on the bunt in the 9th inning. And the curveball bounced toward third. Charging Flores gets the short hop. Out at second. The turn by Walker, not in time. Ball just not hit hard enough to turn 2, but a nice play by Flores to get the force play started.
Well, it's not the easiest throw for a third baseman when he comes in for the baseball and has to throw kind of across his body. Nice play by Flores on the short hop. Makes the accurate throw to Walker. And Walker takes a shot here at first base. Watch Loney come off the bag quickly, trying to influence the call.
So 1 out and 1 on, and now Nolan Arenado. Arenado 0 for 5 yesterday. He had a really rough day. Never got the ball out of the infield. Hit 4 pop-ups and a strikeout, and made an error in the field with a 3-time Gold Glover. And he takes a fastball strike.
He popped up to the catcher twice. I mean, he might be the first person ever at Citi Field.
Arenado 26 home runs, tied for second in the National League. 78 RBIs, also second in the league. Matz has been vulnerable to the stolen base. He's given up 15 of them this year in 20 tries. Second most on the staff behind Noah Syndergaard. Matz had Rivera behind the plate with him in his last start in Miami. He's got d'Arnaud today. There goes LeMahieu. The throw by d'Arnaud. The tag by Walker, not in time. And LeMahieu has a stolen base, his 9th of the year.
Well, d'Arnaud didn't have much of a chance there. We've seen runners be able to take advantage of Steven Matz. He's kind of slow to the plate, and I think they have a decent read on when he's coming over and when he's not.
How do runners do that with left-handed pitchers who seem to have such a natural advantage?
It's like playing poker. They have a tell. There's something they do every single time that lets you know when they're going to the plate. It could be as simple as looking at the plate before they throw.
Grounded to the left side. Cabrera will let LeMahieu go and get the out at first. 2 away. As Arenado's retired on the ground ball.
Well, this is an interesting play because it's not hit that hard, and LeMahieu read it that it's not hit hard enough. I'm going to go to third base. He probably shouldn't move. He should have stayed at second. But you know what Cabrera's saying? I don't want to take a chance on a tag play. Let's just get the out, and there's 1 out to go.
If there'd been nobody out, would he have been more likely to throw to third?
100% of the time.
So a runner at third with 2 down. Here's Carlos Gonzalez, who was 1 for 4 yesterday. Gonzalez starts the day 7th in the National League with a .316 average, 20 home runs. You know, I'm looking at the defense the Mets play against Cargo, and they did this yesterday too. There was a time earlier in his career you couldn't afford to play the second baseman as deep as he is.
Because he had great speed, or better speed than he has now. You also had to bunch him a little in left center. He used to have some great power to left center field.
2-0 to Gonzalez. Trevor Story, the on-deck batter. And Gonzalez laces one into left center field. That'll go up the gap and all the way to the wall. LeMahieu comes in with the first run of the game. An RBI double for Carlos Gonzalez puts the Rockies up 1-0. What do you do with a sinker ball pitcher if you're a left-hand hitter? Exactly what Cargo does.
Well, the whole thing about where you play is that lefty against lefty matchup, the left-handed hitter is more apt to try to go that other way on a ball away. And good hitting. I mean, he drives that ball not off a great foundation.
So the Rockies grab the early lead. And now Trevor Story, who was 2 for 4 yesterday, leads the National League in home runs with 27, and he takes the curveball inside.
Watch his back foot. The direction of his outfield hits. So he sprays him around. Still does.
Two curveballs in a row from Matz, and for the second straight hitter, he's behind 2-0. Trevor Story chasing the major league record for home runs by a rookie shortstop. He's only 3 shy of Nomar Garciaparra's record 30. He's already broken the National League mark.
I was saying that he didn't hit with great foundation to Carlos Gonzalez. Watch his back foot in driving this ball to left center. Usually it should go forward and straight. It goes backwards towards the first baseman or towards the dugout of the Mets. But it doesn't matter. He's kind of a front foot hitter anyway.
He's got that big leg kick. He draws that foot back toward his back foot before striding. 3 infielders on the left side for Story, and he takes a letter high strike. 2-2. Mets have had all sorts of problems getting Story out in the 4 prior games between the two teams. He's 7 for 15 against Met pitching. He has had himself quite a memorable rookie season with 2 months to go. Too high, and it's 3-2. Mark Reynolds is hitting 6th in the order. He's on deck. Mets gave up leadoff hit to Charlie Blackmon on a 2-strike pitch. Paid for that when Gonzalez drove in the run.
And a little feel for how Matz feels about his fastball. First 3-2 count.
And Story fouls off the fastball.
Only thing I've seen, you said the numbers, what, 7 for 15? One thing I've seen is that Story is a very good breaking ball hitter, and the Mets pitchers have gone after him with a lot of breaking balls.
He does strike out a lot, 128 strikeouts this year, second most in the league. Makes contact and flies one out to center. Conforto started back, now coming on. And that retires the side. The Rockies get a first inning run on a 2-out double by Carlos Gonzalez. And the Mets come to bat trailing 1-0. We apologize for some audio difficulties. A rare second viewing of the Geico Mets starting lineup. With Travis d'Arnaud in the 2-hole for the first time this year as the Mets face Tyler Chatwood.
See the Toyota numbers for him. He is a sinker ball specialist. His control is not great, and you'll see a little unusual move with that hand. He'll take it right out of his glove and then insert it back into the glove before he delivers the pitch.
Quickly behind on Granderson 2-0, and you can understand if the Mets are exceedingly patient with Chatwood tonight after he walked 8 batters in 5 innings in his last start against the Braves. And he's quickly behind Granderson 3-0. I don't think I've ever seen a pitcher's line like that. 5 innings, no runs, 1 hit, 8 walks, and 6 strikeouts.
Wow.
There's a strike, barely, 3-1. Chatwood beat the Mets in Denver earlier this year, walked 3 in 7 innings in that game, gave up 3 runs, 6 hits.
When he's on, he'll get a lot of ground balls.
When you look at him physically, 6 feet tall, 180 pounds, immediately reminds you of Roy Oswalt.
Yeah, absolutely. Just, I mean, who did have Roy Oswalt stuff? Not many.
He threw 95 as a little right-hander. Granderson gets jammed and fouls it off.
You know, Coney was not a big right-hander, and he threw 95.
Chatwood had Tommy John surgery in high school and then again in July of 2014. Missed all of last year, but he's come back strong this season. And he walks Granderson to lead off the first inning.
Defensively behind Chatwood, a young bunch out there. David Dahl, Charlie Blackmon, and Carlos Gonzalez with the Coors Light defense. Arenado and his gold, Story, LeMahieu with his gold, and Mark Reynolds has had a fine year at first base for these Rockies, and Nick Hundley behind the plate.
Well, here's Travis d'Arnaud, who last year hit 5th in the order 5 times for the Mets and hit 300 in those games with 2 home runs. But it's the first time this season that he's hit 2nd. Travis has lost a little bit of playing time recently because Rene Rivera, who is a terrific defensive catcher, has hit over the last couple of weeks. And if the Mets are going to be a successful team over the next 2 months, this is one of those guys who has got to up his offensive game. Slowly hit down to third. Arenado gets the out at second. LeMahieu with the turn. And the 2 Gold Glovers for the Rockies infield turn a 5-4-3 double play. 2 out and nobody on.
Well, 2 hopper. Arenado with an interesting throw. He didn't kind of fall through into second base. He kind of backed up to make this throw. A little high from LeMahieu, but he's so tall and has such a good arm. Gets the play done. Nice job by Mark Reynolds with the stretch also.
So 2 out and nobody on. And now Yoenis Cespedes back in the lineup today after sitting out yesterday. He did appear as a pinch hitter, got an intentional walk and was immediately pinch run for. But Cespedes told Terry Collins he just needed the 1 day and that he was good to go tonight as he battles through his quad injury. His last official at bat came night before last against Adam Wainwright, a classic at bat that resulted in a long 2-run homer that gave the Mets the lead.
Had a chance to be the best at bat you could see all year. Well, it was the best at bat we've seen all year.
Just didn't result in a win.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Endy Chavez catch.
Right.
It's hard to have a highlight from a game that your team ends up not winning. Little number to the right side. Reynolds plays the spinner and gets it over to Chatwood for the 3-1 putout. After 1 at Citi Field, 1-0 Colorado. Out of Market Game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. MLB.TV Premium includes a free subscription to At Bat Premium. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Mark Reynolds flies one foul down the right side, and that'll go out of play. When Citi Field first opened in 2009, Mark Reynolds fairly christened the place. It was late in the season, so christen is probably the wrong word, but he kind of obliterated the place. Came in for a 4-game series with the Diamondbacks, only played in 3 of the games, and hit 4 home runs, each one more impressive than the one before.
He had 44 home runs that year.
And he's got 247 home runs for his career. He's become a valuable part-time player and the later stages of his career. He's only 32. He feels like he should be older. And he shoots one foul. Last year played with the Cardinals, hit .230 with 13 home runs. He's having a little better year this year. And you see his numbers at Citi Field overall. So he hasn't been able to translate that 4 home runs in 3 games success into regularly obliterating the park. Tries to hold the swing on the slider, and he stopped it in time. 2-2.
Does he remind you at all a little bit of Todd Frazier, in that they have that long swing where they let the bat go sometimes with one hand and can hit it 450 plus feet?
Well, this year Frazier's numbers are kind of like Reynolds in that he's not hitting for much of an average. Reynolds pops one up, and Loney should have a play on it. 1 out.
We see Matz's numbers by month. We know we saw him when he won those 7 straight, and then really kind of had the tailspin hit right about when he found out that he had that bone spur. But he's pitched out of it, and like you said, in his last couple of starts, he's looked much better.
What a strange year in that he won 7 straight starts and then went 9 straight starts without a win before the last win in Miami. Here's David Dahl, 2 for 3 yesterday, first week in the big leagues. He takes a slider for a strike. This is one thing we've seen with Steve in the last couple of starts. He's begun throwing that slider again. He had him on during the game the other night, and he reiterated that he had pretty much ditched the slider for a while because he thought that was contributing to his elbow pain. Now he realizes that's not really the case, only because it was kind of the newest piece of his arsenal. Figured that might have been the difference maker.
Well, it's interesting here that Dahl got thrown in the lineup, the young left-handed hitter, against the left-handed pitcher, and he can show his manager, Walt Weiss, if he can hit lefties tonight.
Just 22 years old, first-round pick 4 years ago by the Rockies. And Matz misses high, 2-2. Think hitters ever get distracted by their own photos out on that huge scoreboard in center field?
Maybe Daniel Espinosa.
Oh, well,
with the big beard.
But it doesn't look like him, so it shouldn't bother him at all.
No, you don't see that. You really see the batter's eye. I tell you, though, what's a little challenging today is that with the great Piazza jerseys, you don't usually see a whiteout here at Citi Field.
That's a good point. Off the glove of Matz into no man's land, and Dahl has an infield hit.
I was wondering if Neil Walker would have had this if he let it go. No, that was up the middle. Nice try by Steven. He was a little off balance. That's why it was hard for him to reach back over his shoulder and make that play. Not hit that hard by Dahl and just off the leather.
So Dahl put in the lineup against the lefty, has an infield hit. Here's Nick Hundley, the catcher and number 8 hitter. He had the day off yesterday. Tony Walters caught. And Hundley takes the curveball for a strike. Well, with all that white in the stands, what concerns you is maybe a throw to a first baseman where a ball comes out of the shirts that maybe he has trouble seeing. That happened to Joe Pepitone famously in the 1963 World Series at Dodger Stadium, when the throw came out of a sea of white shirts and he lost it. Probably more likely to happen in a day game than a night game.
That's right.
The home plate umpire is coming back toward the backstop, gesturing to somebody. I don't know if somebody was reflecting something.
No, someone behind the plate had like their light on in their camera taking pictures, and it could be seen by the players.
You don't want light in the eye of the fielder trying to field the ball.
I think we should replay it just to make sure it happened.
Well, I don't know if one of the players complained about it, but Chris Guccione went back and made sure that the light was turned off.
I think really they were just taking selfies of each other, so
that never happened. Hundley's always been a big thorn in the Mets side, hitting .357 lifetime against New York. Started out with the Padres, went to the Orioles. Hit .301 for the Rockies last year. We call Nick Hundley the Gustavo Molina of the Hundleys.
That's right.
Which is to say he's the catching Hundley who's not a member of the family.
You know what's interesting? When Hundley first came up, it was Chase Headley with the San Diego Padres. You thought they had the nucleus of a team there, but you know they traded Headley, and Hundley with some injuries never really regained his form.
Matt's throwing a lot of pitches early in this game. And that's line to right field. Granderson, though, right there to grab it. And that's the second out. So Hundley hit it hard. 2 out. Dahl still at first. Need a hot dog, Brian?
You know, whenever I see that shot, thanks, Danny Bar, you don't realize how steep those stairs are to make sure that everyone's got a great shot or view of the ballpark.
Have you ever, you've been to Minnesota, right, at Target Field?
I have.
You know the stands they have out in right field? It's almost like a sheer cliff face, the way the pitch of those seats is.
The worst I've ever seen is the Montreal Forum, the old Montreal Forum. You would literally be sitting, the person would be sitting like between your legs. I mean, you were right on top of them, and you were right over the ice.
And it was a great place to see a hockey game because of that. Tyler Chatwood is the highest lifetime batting average of any active pitcher. And he slaps one down to first, and Loney plays it. So his .243 lifetime average will dip a bit as Mats gets through the top of the second. Mets come back up, down 1-0. Nice summer weekend in New York, which means there are that many fewer people in Manhattan.
It's got to be Gramercy Park there at the bottom right, Gary.
Do you have a key?
No. No. Very rare.
I mean, how many places, outdoor spaces in New York, do you need a key?
I'll take a key to the National Arts Club, which is right nearby.
James Loney leads off the home second. Mets down 1-0. Loney 1 for 4 yesterday. hitting at .283. Loney, Walker, and Flores against Tyler Chatwood, who walked the leadoff batter in the first, but got a double play to help him through. And the curveball sits high, 2-0.
Tyler Chatwood probably rushed to the major leagues. There's Neil Walker on deck, coming off 2 3-hit games. 21 years old when he was brought up by the Angels, then traded after that for Chris Iannetta.
Rocket hit out to right center field. Back goes Gonzalez to the warning track at the wall. It's out of here. James Loney with his 6th home run of the year ties up the game. Loney has never been known as a home run hitter, but lately, when he gets into hitters' counts, he's looking for that ball he can drive, and he just got enough of that one.
Well, one of the few hitters you don't have to worry about in the lineup for the Mets has been James Loney. Base hit yesterday in the 2nd inning and scored on a double by Rivera, and here jumps all over a fastball and dumps it in the Rockies bullpen.
6 home runs for Loney, 2 more than he had all of last year. Now Walker takes one the other way for a base hit. And Neil Walker now 7 hits in his last 8 at bats.
But Cargo for a second was going to be able to get up over that wall. Oh, he did. Just out of his reach.
That home run means $2,000 for No Kid Hungry, enough to provide 20,000 healthy meals courtesy of Citi. There's Wilmer Flores. Tonight is the 1-year anniversary of the night when Wilmer shed a tear or 2.
One of the craziest nights I've ever spent at a ballpark.
Probably for him too.
Yeah.
It's been quite a tumultuous year for Wilmer, from that point of thinking that he was traded, not being traded, winding up playing shortstop in a World Series, losing his job in the offseason and becoming a utility man, struggling through the early portion of the year, and now more recently coming full circle and again being the people's choice. 1-2 to Wilmer.
If he had been traded, Carlos Gomez would have come over. And no disrespect to Carlos, but he would not have had the same impact that Cespedes did.
Carlos Gomez in .210 this year. He has not been that dynamic player that the Mets thought they were trading for when it looked like they were trading for him. Wilmer goes down on the high fastball, and Chatwood has his first strikeout of the night.
I was thinking about Loney when he hit that home run. First, we'll look at the fastball upstairs. Chatwood usually stays around the knees, so when he elevates, it can surprise a hitter. I was thinking about Loney, working with the hitting coach. The hitting coach had a lot of success with a guy who didn't hit a lot of home runs last year who turned it on. I wonder if Loney's getting some of that tutelage.
Well, the thing that Kevin Long did with Daniel Murphy was got him closer to the plate and a little more crouched into attack mode. But what interests me about Loney is, and I hear this all the time from hitting coaches, about picking your spots as a power hitter. Because the home run he hit in Miami came on a 2-0 fastball. He parked one on the upper deck, and then again here on a 2-0 pitch.
So obviously he's got the power.
Right.
It's different if the home run he'd hit occasionally, even when he caught it all, would only go maybe 370, 380.
I mean, his first real year with the Dodgers, I think he played 90 games. He had 15 home runs, and he's never hit as many since. And you always got the impression that if he wanted to be a 20, 25 home run hitter, he could, but that he might have to sacrifice average for it.
Well, I think he fancies himself as a 285 to 300 hitter. Can he do both? That would make him an impact player.
You know who was that guy? And he very much hit home runs in situations like that where he had a hitter's count. It was the right situation. 2 out and nobody on. Or Edgardo Alfonso was like that. He knew exactly when he was going to get a pitch that he could sell out for and hit a home run, and yet he was able to be that 285 hitter. Asdrubal Cabrera 1 for 4 yesterday, and he pops one up. Reynolds comes in to call for it. 2 out.
So it's interesting, Gary, you were saying coming into this game that the Mets would have to make sure they were eyeballing Chatwood because of the 8 walks in his last start. For Cabrera, you could say maybe swung at 3 or 4 pitches out of the strike zone, including the last one. Hundley lost that ball. Luckily, it was to Reynolds at first base.
So 2 out, Walker still at first. Here's Michael Conforto hitting 8th in the order. Conforto 5 for 18 since his return from the minors. And his buddy Brandon Nimmo is now with the ball club. Lockering next to him. Curveball taken high. Conforto and Nimmo played together in Binghamton before Michael was called up last year.
They drive to the park together.
In a pickup?
Nimmo struck. Chevy.
Extended cab?
Of course. First round pick.
Well, they both were. Nimmo recalled today when Juan Lagares went on the disabled list, and Terry Collins was asked whether the thumb surgery that Lagares will have will be season ending, and he said, well, no, 6 weeks, but you have to think that it would be unlikely that we'd see Juan again this year.
Well, I mean, I had the same surgery that Juan's going to have, or about the same surgery, and it was, it's 6 weeks it might take it to heal, but to get it strong again, it was all winter.
3-0 to Conforto with Matz on deck. And Michael takes ball 4. Second walk given up by Chatwood. And so Matz will bat with 2 men on. Well, you give Lagares a lot of credit for the effort. Get to Citi Field this Sunday for Family Sunday. The Mets play the Rockies as part of Piazza Weekend. The first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a Mike Piazza bobblehead courtesy of Citi. After the game, all kids 12 and under can run the bases in the Mr. Met Dash presented by Northwell Health. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Piazza. Steven Matz 0 for his last 13 after a strong offensive start to his season. Batting here with 2 out and 2 on in a tie game. Good stop by Hundley. I was saying about Lagares, you give him a lot of credit for coming back, giving it a chance. He always plays to the peak of his ability because he just plays hard. But he came in last night after the game and said he just couldn't do it anymore.
Since he's been in the major leagues, we've never ever had to question his toughness. It's as tough as they get. And he tried to play through it, but he can't play at the level he needs to.
Chatwood bouncing 2 straight pitches to the opposing pitcher. 2-1.
And Hundley 2 great stops. This one again has to flip that glove over quickly and make like an infielder.
Matz has 5 hits, 2 RBIs this year. And it's outside, ball 3. Didn't you tell Steven that you had him in the pitcher's pool?
I did. We don't have a pitcher's pool. I was just playing with Steven, but if we did, I would have him.
The pitcher has a hitter's count. And he takes a strike, 3-2. So think about it. He had more RBIs in his major league debut last year than he has this season. Set the bar pretty high.
One of those special games, right?
Runners get set to go. Walker and Conforto. And Matz takes it low. Ball 4 and the bases are loaded. So back-to-back walks to the 8 and 9 hitters. Put Chatwood in jeopardy. With Curtis Granderson coming up.
He's got his manager, Walt Weiss, taking a lap around the dugout.
Well, we've talked all year about hitting with runners in scoring position, and Granderson has been one of the guys who has struggled the most. He's got a big spot here, bases loaded, 2 out. Curtis walked leading off the first inning and takes a curveball that misses for ball 1.
And he had a big at bat in yesterday's game with the bases loaded and 1 out.
Curtis has a home run against Chatwood in 3 career at bats. And now Chatwood behind 2-0 and really starting to struggle. He's averaged about 4 walks per 9 innings this year, but 8 in 5 innings in his last start and 3 in an inning and 2/3 today. So it's starting to elude him. And now 3-0 to Curtis. Now we know that Curtis likes to swing 3-0, but is this a spot where you'd even conceive of giving him a green light?
I would say it's impossible really to swing 3-0 against a guy who's just walked a couple in the innings. 3-0 on you.
There's a strike, 3-1. Walker at third, Conforto at second, Matz at first with 2 out. And Granderson pops it up. Who's going to get it? It's the shortstop, Story. Side retired. Mets leave him loaded after Loney led off the inning with the tying home run. Loney's 6th of the year gets the Mets even. 1-1 as we go to the 3rd at Citi Field.
And they take you into their family. They don't do it to everybody. Very few. They handpick, and to feel that emotion for me is it's just natural. Again, it's overwhelming, and it represents everything that has encompassed me as a ball player from having to work, and that's what these people know, and that's why they come here.
Well, tomorrow night Mike Piazza will become only the 2nd player to have his number retired by the New York Mets. And that in and of itself gives you an idea just how special he was and how much he has been embraced by this franchise.
Well, I thought it was just a great part. I mean, there were so many great parts of his speech, but when he acknowledged the Mets fans, New York Mets fans, I thought that was a great move by him.
He really did have a great speech.
He did.
And hit on all the important points. Charlie Blackmon slashes one inside the line. That hits off the sidewall, and Karum's out. And Blackmon will pull into second base with a leadoff double. So Blackmon has gone the other way twice, a single and now a two-base hit to start the third.
Well, this is what Blackmon does when he's running on all cylinders. He can use the whole field, coast to coast. Hits that ball past Wilmer at third base and turns it into a double. He does that about as well as anyone in the game. Left-handed hitter hitting that ball late on the plate.
Watching Yoenis Cespedes chase that ball, you really got to wonder how much he's going to be able to play in the next few weeks.
When he got to the ball and it caromed away from him, it took him about 6-7 steps to stop.
Right.
Like to kind of, you know, disengage his quads.
There's LeMahieu, who reached on a fielder's choice, stole a base, and scored a run in the first. Well, the Mets moved Cespedes out of center field to cut down on the running, but look when he has to change direction here.
Watch when it caroms. Okay, now he's got to slow himself down. See how barely can turn around and jogs to the ball to get to it once he knows it's going to be a double.
Such a delicate balance. I mean, he sat out yesterday, back in the lineup today. I mean, the only thing that's going to heal that quad is to sit out for 2 or 3 weeks, but the Mets just can't afford that right now.
Well, the DH games coming up might help a little bit.
That's 5 of those next week. But, you know, between now and then, you got, let's see, tomorrow's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 4 more games after this before you get to those 5 DH games. Of course, there's Jose Reyes, who's missed the last 3 now. That's playing a man short because of his intercostal injury. He's still on the active roster. There goes the runner. The pitch outside. The throw to third is not in time, and Blackmon steals third base. His 13th stolen base, and the Rockies' second of the night.
Well, a big steal by Story helped win that game for the Rockies yesterday, and Blackmon with a nice secondary lead and a nice jump to steal that base off Matz and d'Arnaud. I mean, he leapt into that slide about 15 feet short, but got there.
So they called that pitch a strike to LeMahieu, and now it's up high 1-2. That's a play the infield back. They'll concede the tying run on a ground, the go-ahead run on a ground ball. With the big hitters coming up behind LeMahieu, that makes some sense. Trying to stay out of the big inning with Arenado and Gonzalez following. The only trouble with that is the paucity of the Mets offense right now.
Yeah, and I think if you're Matz, you're looking for the punch out right here. You know, you're ahead in the count. You can bounce a breaking ball.
And he does. And d'Arnaud is equal to it, 2-2.
Hung on to this one just a little too long, but nice job by d'Arnaud squaring that up. Got him right in the middle of the body.
And LeMahieu got a piece of the changeup and fouled it back. Still 2-2. Nolan Arenado waiting on deck. Well, Matz has given up 2 stolen bases tonight, 17 for the year. The Mets have given up the second most steals of any team in the league.
Could you see what the Cubs are doing now when a runner's on first against John Lester? They're taking the second baseman and playing him in between Anthony Rizzo at first and the pitcher, Lester. He is now the guy charging on a bunt if the pitcher's bunting.
Wow. Well, it didn't seem to bother Lester today, but then again, they scored 12 runs for him. Check swing. Did he go? And no swings as Alan Porter down at first, and a full count to LeMahieu. Lester went 6 scoreless innings today. He's got his ERA back under 3 after those 2 horrible starts he had before the All-Star break ballooned that ERA up.
One of them against the Mets.
Eighth pitch of the at-bat coming from Matz to LeMahieu. And the curveball is high for ball 4. First walk given up by Matz, who's thrown a lot of pitches early in this game. Now runners at the corners with nobody out, and Nolan Arenado coming up. Arenado grounded out to short his first time up. Yesterday, he fouled out to the catcher twice, and Ronnie asked the question, did anybody else ever do that in this ballpark?
Jason Worth did in 2011. That stat coming by Dave Freed. Thanks, Dave.
Good changeup to start off Arenado. Arenado starts the night second in the National League in runs batted in, just behind Jay Bruce, who looks like he might be on the verge of being traded. Which there's been a lot of Jay Bruce trade talk in prior years too, and it's never happened.
All winter also.
Tell you what, he certainly boosted the price the last couple of weeks. Homered in 5 straight games. Well, Arenado with runners in scoring position has certainly been money. That's why he has more RBIs than anybody in baseball since the start of last season. Foul tip, and it's 1-2.
Well, you ask any of the great RBI guys, and Terry Collins was addressing this the other day, they always have the same, not the same sentences, but about the same kind of way of thinking. Use the middle of the field. Go the other way if you have to. Don't think home runs. Don't think extra base hits. Just get the run in somehow, some way.
Well, all you have to do is look at the best RBI guy of his generation, Miguel Cabrera.
Right.
And that's what he does. He's a home run hitter, but in RBI spots, that's what he does. Uses the middle of the field, cuts down his swing with 2 strikes, makes sure he makes contact, and that's really what Arenado did there with 2 strikes, cut it down.
He really did. He was just trying to tomahawk that to the right side. If you shorten your swing, what can you do? You can wait longer on the pitch. Gives you a better chance.
First and third and nobody out. And the curveball popped up right near the mound. Matt says he wants it. Now he's called off, and Flores goes up the hill to get it. Almost tripped over the spike scraper.
Yeah. Yeah, they never had those things in my day. But it's always tough for the infielders when they start to run up this hill, the elevation change. I don't know if he ever made it to the spike thing. It's almost like
I think he tripped on the logo.
On the logo. Is that a raised logo?
I don't think it is, Ronnie. But it is a hill, you know, and that's why, you know, when the ball is actually within the confines of the mound, I think it's better for the pitcher to catch it.
So true. I agree. Especially when it's not hit at that high.
You know, in Matz's case, he's a tremendous athlete.
It was interesting that Worthen came out, isn't it? Cargo in his last at bat with double the left center field. Dan Worthen knows that the team has been struggling to score some runs, so he's going to give his pitcher, you know, a little tutorial before he faces Gonzalez.
Blackman at third, LeMahieu at first with 1 out. LeMahieu has already stolen a base in this game. Fastball on the corner, 0-1. Gonzalez is double his first time up, gave him an 11-game hitting streak. And he fouls back the fastball, and it's 0-2. You know all about the Mets numbers with runners in scoring position. 204 coming into the day. Rockies are hitting 280.
So Cargo does have a hole above the letters. Let's see if Matz can exploit that with the fastball.
To check in on LeMahieu.
That'll be something that Steven can work on this winter. You know, bettering his move as a left-hander. There's no reason not to have a good move to first base.
Darno moves away, and the curveball struck him out. First strikeout of the day from Matz, and that's a big one. Now there are 2 out in the inning.
Interesting, kind of taking a page out of the book of Jerry Blevins yesterday with that good breaking ball that struck out Gonzalez. Matz comes with it, starts it over the middle of the plate and bends it just off the plate against the lefty.
That's a really good call, Ronnie. I wonder whether he went to school on that Blevins approach to Gonzalez.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, you don't make Gonzalez look bad at the plate very often, and Blevins did.
So the Rockies at first and third and nobody out. Now there are 2 out, and those runners are still where they were. Trevor Story, the batter, flied to center his first time up. And Story takes the changeup for a strike, 0-1. Trevor Story, 23 years old.
Just bounces on that front foot on his tiptoe.
And he swings over the curveball, knocked down by d'Arnaud, and it's 0-2.
He doesn't really have he has a little bit of a leg kick, but then a leg kind of extension. It's not a pure leg kick. Kind of hovers it over the ground.
Well, Matt's got himself into a pickle this inning. He's on the edge of getting out of it. 0-2 to Story. Too high. Mark Reynolds would be next. Blackman at third, LeMahieu at first with 2 down. 1-2. Got him looking. Sign retired. What an effort by Steven Matz. Rockies at first and third and nobody out, and he retires the 3, 4, and 5 hitters to keep the game tied.
See, the target is supposed to be up fastball, but he holds on to it a little too long, ends up on the inside corner, and given the call there by Jeff Kellogg.
Painting the corners. Stop by your local Sherwin-Williams store for all your painting needs. Travis d'Arnaud leads off in the home third. Travis bounced into a double play his first time up, hitting in the second spot in the batting order for the first time this season. That's got a home run from James Loney to tie the game, then left him loaded in the second. And Chatwood gets ahead 0-2. Chatwood has already walked 3 first time through the batting order. So both he and Matz have thrown a ton of pitches early in this game. Matz have thrown 60 through the first 3. And d'Arnaud is out on 3 pitches for the first out. Second strikeout for Chatwood. Well, Chatwood has not had much luck pitching at Coors Field this year, but look how special he's been on the road.
And no home runs allowed.
Not until tonight.
Yeah. And he's only allowed 8 home runs all season long, but that, you know what, if you're a Colorado pitcher, you got to make hay on the road, don't you?
Well, their staff ERA at Coors Field is 6.04, so he's been better than that. But their road ERA is under 3.7, which is awfully good. Here's Cespedes, and jumps back from that fastball. Yoenis grounded out his first time up. And he hits one out to right to Gonzalez. 2 out. Your City probables the remainder of the series. Bartolo Colon on 3 days rest for the first time in 11 years up against the Rockies veteran left-hander Jorge De La Rosa. Noah Syndergaard goes Sunday afternoon against Chad Bettis. Terry Collins said in talking about Colon coming back on 3 days rest that not only did he throw only 87 pitches on Tuesday, but it was an easy 87. And it really was.
And they went to Bartolo and asked him if he'd do it, and he said absolutely. You know, we always talk about pitches under duress. Well, Matz's pitches have been under duress so far. Chatwood pitches have been under duress. It means people on the bases, means a lot of pitches where you're trying to get a strikeout. Colon, it was like the catcher was in a rocking chair. He was just pitch after pitch exactly where he wanted it to be. Not a lot of pitches in innings. As precise as I've seen Bartolo this year.
Chopper hit by Loney. LeMahieu was playing deep. Time to get it, and throws out Loney to end the inning. So the Mets are down 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 3rd. On to the 4th we go, still tied at 1. Steven Matz has had to work around a lot of trouble in this game. Worked out of a first and third nobody out jam in the last inning. He'll face Mark Reynolds to start the fourth. Reynolds fouled out to first base his first time up. So you know how we have our Verizon trivia question every night?
Yes.
Tonight we have a non-sponsored trivia question. Well, actually, Dave Freed is the sponsor. He's come up with a trivia question for us. As Reynolds pops one up. And Loney into foul territory, snags it one away. We will get to the trivia question in just a moment. And I know you're hanging on the edge of your seat waiting for it. But first, let's go to Steve Gelbs, whose report tonight is brought to you by the Kia Top Quality Sales Event. Steve?
Yeah, sorry to put that off, guys. I'll try and be quick with this. But, you know, last year after Steven Matz established himself as a bona fide major league player, he really wanted to use his new status to help others. And so this year, he's gone above and beyond in terms of doing charitable work, even started his own program, True 32, which every Wednesday, every home Wednesday that the Mets have, he brings in 32 firefighters, police, and military members to games. But that's really just the tip of the iceberg as he gives up a single to Dahl. In addition to this True 32 program where you see some of the footage right now, he talks to these first responders and military members. He also went on a trip this offseason to Honduras pretty soon after the World Series ended. He worked with some kids there, taught some kids how to play some baseball. Also, for every strikeout this season, a donation is going to Angela's House, a local charity on Long Island that helps medically frail children and their families. So, you know, he's not a really boisterous guy, Steven Matz, pretty humble, but this is pretty impressive stuff that he's doing.
It's outstanding.
Boy, it really is. Just because you're a ball player doesn't mean you can't be a good citizen. He's doing both.
These are some of the pictures of Steven during his trip to Honduras.
And you know, some of the athletes that go to some of these places, they'll go in and they'll spend a day and then they'll kind of come out. He spent time in there, spent time with the people there, went above and beyond. Good for him.
Well, guys, in speaking with Steven Matz yesterday, he talked about choosing his agency, the Icon Sports Agency, in part because their motto was the Jackie Robinson quote, "A life is not important except in the impact it has on other lives." That's so important to Steven. It's a large reason why he chose the agent that he did, was for reasons like this.
Well done. And he gets Nick Hundley looking at a fastball. Fourth strikeout for Matz. 2 out in the inning.
That fastball again supposed to be up, and that ball might have been in. Hundley might have been right about his beef.
His catchers can't argue too strenuously, though. After all, they want those calls on the other side. There's Tyler Chatwood, who grounded out his first time up. And he tries to push a bunt and he fouls it back. So would you have guessed that coming into the night, Tyler Chatwood would have the highest lifetime batting average of any active pitcher?
I would not. I know he was a good hitter. I know he was an outstanding high school baseball player as a shortstop in San Bernardino, but I did not know that. I'm trying to think, I thought maybe Wainwright or someone like that, but Wainwright's probably had too many at-bats.
Wainwright's got more power. 7 home runs in his career. Of course, Bumgarner would be a guy you'd think of. Oh, 2 to Chatwood. And the curveball struck him out. Side retired. 5 strikeouts for Matz, who had a little easier inning this time. Still 1-1 in the fourth. By T-Mobile, 7-player trade earlier today between the Marlins and the Padres. Key acquisitions for the Marlins trying to strengthen their rotation. A couple of starters, Colin Ray and Andrew Cashner, who will start tomorrow and Sunday against St. Louis.
And San Diego got Carter Capps, Tommy John surgery, great arm. Josh Naylor, who's a #1 pick last year for the Marlins. Of course, Jared Cozart is kind of like a interchangeable part with Cashner or Ray.
So funny, two winters ago, the Padres made such a big splash with their new GM, A.J. Preller, acquiring a lot of high-priced talent. Now they are in complete unload mode. They traded Melvin Upton to Toronto, and now making this move, trading a couple of starters. Well, the Marlins, we've said it for most of the season, they needed to upgrade their rotation. They have just about everything else in place.
Yeah, it's the second trade that they've made with the Padres. They got Fernando Rodney earlier this year.
Neil Walker had a base hit to left field his first time up. 7 hits in his last 8 at bats. Quite a contrast. He was in a 2-for-39 stretch before that. Lowe's home field advantage. 3 hits in each of the last 2 home games. Back-to-back 3-hit games for Walker. The only other Met who's done that this year is Wilmer Flores, who had back-to-back 3-hit games in Milwaukee in June. 1 and 2. Anyway, we're going to do our non-sponsored trivia question before we
Why don't we just have Dave sponsor it? He can put up the coin.
Maybe he can give you his calculator and his pie jersey. Inside 2 and 2. Anyway, it involves the Rockies' first baseman, Mark Reynolds. Because remember, we talked about the series when he was with the Diamondbacks when he hit 4 home runs in 3 games, first year of Citi Field. So here's Dave's trivia question. Walker pulls one right to Reynolds, who snags it for the first out. So Reynolds front and center as we ask the trivia question. So the 4 home runs he hit against the Mets in 2009 for the Diamondbacks, 2 of them were against the same pitcher.
2009.
And Dave gave us a hint. The hint is that that pitcher has already been shown on TV tonight.
Wow, that's very good. All right, Dave. No Google, no looking it up, no baseball reference. Gonna have to go use the gray matter here.
To another Flores, who struck out his first time up. By the way, this is Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Nice extension, Mike. Mike will be given away on Sunday. The bobblehead, that is. It's a nice one. I like it.
People are going to love that, aren't they?
Does it have the mustache?
It's cool. It's got his career numbers on the side, little bio on the back.
I'm sure Mike will be very happy that they didn't feature the blonde hair.
That's right. Mike will be signing this box for decades to come.
True. 3 and 2 to Flores.
Boy, every single hitter is not happy with Jeff Kellogg's strike zone.
All right, so do you have any guesses on our non-sponsored trivia question?
I did have a guess till Dave gave one of the worst hints of all time.
And Flores strikes out on the sinker from Chatwood, who comes from 3-0 to get him. Well, while you're pondering the answer to that trivia question, we're going to confuse things even more by bringing in the Verizon trivia question, which is who hit the first regular season home run in Rockies history.
I know that.
Now, I know who hit the first home run in a home game in Rockies history, but I don't know if that's the first one overall.
I don't think so. It's certainly not.
The Rockies played their first ever game at Shea Stadium, but they got shut out that day by Dwight Gooden in 1993. So it wasn't that day. I don't know how many more games they played on the road before their first home game at Mile High Stadium when Eric Young Sr. led off the game with a home run.
Only in front of 80,000 fans.
Right. Cabrera trying to push a bunt and fouls it off.
Do you know he hit that home run off, Dave?
Is it against the Dodgers?
Montreal Expos, who had put through some of their good talent there. Tim Wallach, Tim Raines all played for the Denver Bears at some point when it was a minor league team. Ken Bottenfeld.
Who's the open day start? Oh, road opener.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know why I know that. Apologize.
Cabrera gets jammed and pops one up for LeMahieu. And that retires the side. 1, 2, 3 go the Mets. Chatwood's retired 7 in a row, second time through the batting order. 1-1 after 4. State Ford dealers who invite you to test drive a new Ford. You'll discover why Ford is the total package. Fifth inning at Citi Field. Charlie Blackmon leads off against Steven Matz. Blackmon has hit the ball the other way twice for a single and a double. He's stolen a base tonight. Blackmon, LeMahieu, and Arenado for the Rockies in the fifth. And he lines another one the other way. And Blackmon is 3 for 3.
Well, this is why Blackmon hits close to 300 or above every year. He just has a great ability to kind of do what Keith always talks about. Use that whole field up the middle. When you're taking batting practice, those line drives over the heads of the shortstops.
And then there's the beard.
Well, it's all right, I think, in Colorado. You know? Mountain Man. See him peeking in for the signs there by d'Arnaud.
He's already got a stolen base tonight. LeMahieu at the plate. And late swing foul. All right, so no more suspense.
Yeah.
Mark Reynolds, 4 home runs in a series here in 09. Hit 2 off the same pitcher. He's already been on TV tonight.
And you told me it's good hand. I have no clue. Who is it?
Nelson Figueroa.
Oh, that's very good. So taking another pitcher down tonight. Took me down last night. Nelson tonight.
So, no, Mark Reynolds is Nelson's Derek Lilliquist.
There you go. That's right.
All right, so we've been watching the first base umpire tonight on pickoff plays at first base. Alan Porter, stationed right there at the corner of the bag.
Very close to the bag. And occasionally he jumps to his right and occasionally jumps to his left. We're trying to figure it out here. Jumping to his right to me makes sense because he's trying to get right on that line in case the ball is hit down that way so he can make the call fair or foul. I just like the way he's energized. You know, he's into it.
So he goes to his left there.
I guess he goes to his left when the throw comes over because he wants to give himself an angle so that he can see where that tag comes. See how he's looking where the tag is going to be if it's on the base in a close play? And if it's not, he'll jump to the right if Matz goes to home. Because if he goes to home, he's got to get on the line for the fair foul play.
So if he jumped to his right on the pickoff, then maybe he's blocked by the runner from seeing the tag?
Or maybe certain runners he wants to get a better position. I just love watching an umpire energized and moving around.
You know, I have to say this compared to when you played.
Oh, jeez.
The umpires are in a lot better shape.
What did Keith Hughes lumbering the other?
Well,
yeah, they are. They're not quite up to the NBA referees, but
No.
they're in great shape. Better shape.
Changeup misses to LeMahieu, and Matt's behind 3-1.
That's a critical time for Steven. It's the 5th inning. It's the 3rd time through the lineup. He's back through the middle of the lineup that he took care of in that big inning in the 3rd.
He walked LeMahieu the last time, the only walk he's given up tonight. See if Blackman's running here on 3-1. Not going. And a little bloop to right field for a base hit. Blackman pulls in at second. And again, the Rockies have the first 2 men on. So Blackman and LeMahieu setting the table each time. And Arenado will get another chance with a couple of men on.
So really, we talk about the Colorado Rockies and their ability to hit the ball to the ballpark and at their stadium, but it's 2 opposite field hits here by the number 1 and 2 hitters.
Well, it's been a rough series for Arenado so far. 0 for 5 yesterday, 0 for 2 today. And 4 of those 7 at bats, he's popped the ball up. 5 of the 7. He's no Christian Yelich. What was that stat? Yelich has popped the ball up 3 times in 4 years.
Yeah.
Off the plate ball one.
Wade Boggs was like that. He had a whole year where he didn't pop the ball up once.
Arenado pops another one up. This will make it out of play. 3rd time through the order has been troubling at times for Steven Matz. First time through, the hitters hit 253. Second time through, 236. Third time, 307. He's given up back-to-back hits to start the 5th. 7 hits now allowed by Matz tonight. He's been able to limit the damage so far, but he's got a very dangerous row to hoe here with Arenado and then Gonzalez and Story. About to throw his 80th pitch of the night with nobody out in the 5th. And Arenado lines one, grabbed by Loney, goes for the tag, and he gets LeMahieu for the double play. Very interesting play there. Loney could have opted to short hop that ball and could have gone for a double play that way, but plucked it before it hit the ground and got the double play with the tag.
Well, it was not an easy play for Loney because the base runner LeMahieu was there. Remember, yesterday he was distracted by Descalso, and he had to look around him as the ball was hit so softly off the bat of Arenado. And LeMahieu got stuck in a place where he didn't know where to go, whether he was going to play it on the short hop or catch it on the fly.
You know what's interesting there? If he short hops that ball, he's got a chance for a triple play. Would have been hard, but it would have been possible. So 2 out. Blackman at second. And Carlos Gonzalez the batter.
I mean, makes the catch, just picks it off the dirt and hustled over to get LeMahieu.
Carlos Gonzalez drove in the Rockies' run with a 2-out double in the 1st inning, and he struck out in the 3rd with a runner at 3rd and 1 out. Oh, that's perfect, right?
He gets a chance within the week.
I want to know, is the 13 a meaningful number because it represents a particular Met or a particular Yankee?
Oh.
Or neither of the above? Could be an Alfonso fan.
Come on, Gelbsy. Off you go.
Could be a Jerry Blevins fan. 1-2 to Gonzalez.
Lee Mazzilli.
Billy Wagner. But of course, it's also A-Rod's number.
A-Rod can't get off that bench.
Just turned 41 the other day. Matz with another chance to get out of a big jam. Ahead on Gonzalez, 1-2. Goes back to the curveball that he struck him out with the last time, and this time Cargo able to get a piece.
That one not as sharp. He's left a couple of curveballs more in the middle of the plate.
Trevor Story would be next. Carlos Gonzalez so far from the plate. And he goes down swinging on the high fastball. Matt strikes out Gonzalez for the second time in a row and extricates himself from yet another jam. 5 strikeouts from Matz. Halfway through, it's 1-1. Home 5th inning, Michael Conforto leads off against Tyler Chatwood. Conforto drew a walk on 4 pitches his first time up. Steven Matz on deck, and then Curtis Granderson. Boy, what a job by Matz. He's had a couple of jams with that powerful middle of the Rockies batting order up where he's been able to find his way through. Late swing foul by Conforto. 0-2. 5th inning recap brought to you by Ford. James Loney homered to tie the game in the second after Matz gave up a run in the first. Matz had to tiptoe through some difficulty, but has held the Rockies off the board since that first inning.
And Chatwood, who looked like he might have been in danger of being out of this game at some point, 3-0, and Curtis Granderson with the bases loaded after a couple of walks now has retired 7 in a row.
No base runners since that bases loaded jam. Conforto just got a piece. Chatwood walked 3 batters first time through the batting order. But his control has been much better the second time through. Conforto tied up on the cutter, but he held the swing. 2-2. Mets have now gone 16 straight games without scoring more than 5 runs. And it just puts an enormous amount of pressure on the pitching staff every single day. Curveball bounced foul.
Well, DeGrom responded with 7 shutout innings yesterday. Matz is doing a great job tonight. See, the difference is, remember when the Mets were playing their best baseball, what were they doing? Scoring early and often. You gave a little bit of cushion for your pitcher. They could be overly aggressive, going deeper into games.
Well, the other piece, of course, is that even when the Mets have been a little up and down, and they've been pretty much a 500 team since the end of April, a little bit under, when they've had a lead late, that lead didn't go away.
Yeah, you're right.
And the last 2 days really hurt. That's the part you just don't expect. Familia blowing back-to-back saves, and not only blowing the saves, but losing both games.
Yeah.
Mets have had 58 innings where they've had at least 2 hits but haven't scored. Tied for the most in the National League.
I don't think I've ever seen a graphic like that. That's pretty good.
I haven't either. That's
I mean, it's
fascinating.
not a good stat, but
well, it's illustrative.
Yeah.
Conforto fouls off another one, so Conforto with a long turn at bat here, making Chatwood work. Elias tells us that it's only the second time in Mets history they've ever had back-to-back games that they've lost when they led going into the ninth. That's line foul. The only other time it happened was in 1983, and the first of the 2 games, a rookie right-hander named Ron Darling, going for his first big league win, left the game with a 6-3 lead in the 7th before the bullpen let it get away. 10th pitch of the at bat, and Conforto takes ball 4. 4th walk given up by Chatwood. Second time he's walked the number 8 hitter Conforto. Officially an 11 pitch at bat. So if the bullpen had been able to hold that for you, you would have had one more win.
I needed one more win.
Because you had 99 as a Met. Whoever thought that number 100 could have been the first one?
Folks, it was Jesse, by the way.
Matz takes a strike. Well, no, not to rub it in, but Jesse personally had 10 blown saves in games that you started over your Mets career.
You're my friend, Jesse. I could have been a contender.
You were. Well, Matz takes a strike, and quickly it's 0-2. What do you do with Matz here? Do you still have bunt on 0-2?
No, I think he swings the bat.
Granderson on deck, d'Arnaud behind him. Arenado still in at third. Matz is squaring and takes outside 1-2. Long look down at Tim Tuffle to see if it's still on.
Nothing worse offensively for a pitcher than not getting the bunt down and having 3 shots at it.
Stephen has 3 sacrifices to go with his 5 hits this year. And that ball stays fair. Reynolds waited as long as he could to see if it would go foul, but couldn't risk letting it go any farther. So that gets Conforto down to second on the sacrifice by Matz.
You know, the fields are so exponentially better than they were in our day. But the one thing I noticed is that any ball like that was bunted in my day would have rolled foul, because they were, you know, the fields were not like they are today, where they're just so true down both lines. And you're right, Reynolds couldn't take a chance.
I think that was going to go foul if he had let it.
Yeah,
but you don't know for sure.
Rene Rivera would like to have it back.
Here's Granderson, and he takes the curveball high. Curtis walked in the first, then popped up with the bases loaded to end the second. Mets have had only 2 hits in this game, and they came back to back. Loney homered and Walker singled in the second inning. 2-0 to Granderson. And Curtis lines one to center. Blackman, though, is right there. And that's the second out. It's back up by LeMahieu. Keep that ball from sailing away. 2 out.
Well, there's 2 things that Chatwood does when the ball is in the glove. See how he takes it out? And he'll take it out, and then he puts it back in the glove before he delivers the ball to the plate. If he just eliminated that move, now look how he kind of curls that ball with his wrist. And you say to yourself, why does he struggle with his control? Well, there's about 15 moving parts before he lets it go.
Well, they talk about having a repeatable delivery. That's hard to repeat.
But, you know, you're talking about a guy who's had 2 Tommy Johns. You know, maybe you don't want to mess too much with it, I guess.
Maybe you do.
But, yeah, you do.
And d'Arnaud skies one to center. Let's get a couple of chances with a runner in scoring position and come up empty. Game stays tied at 1. Game 3 of this series is tomorrow night, a very special night here at Citi Field. Mike Piazza's number will be retired. We'll have all the coverage of it here on SNY. Coverage begins at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. Ceremonies begin at 6:30. So if you're coming to the game tomorrow night, make sure that you are in your seat ready to go. 6:30 sharp. The ceremonies honoring Hall of Famer Mike Piazza will begin. Trevor Story leads off the 6th inning against Steven Matz. And the curveball is up and away, ball 1. And we've just learned, this just in to the booth. SNY's coverage of tomorrow night's game will not begin at 6 o'clock. It will begin at 5:30. Line to the left field, a base hit for Story to start the 6th inning. It's 4 times in 6 innings now the Rockies have had the leadoff man on against Steven Matz, who's had to work awfully hard.
Just a change up away right on the corner. And Story, after being called out in his last time up, decided he's going to be more aggressive and swing the bat, and dumps a hit in front of Cespedes.
So now Mark Reynolds has been up twice, fouled out to first base both times. Story's got 8 stolen bases this year, so Matz will have to keep an eye on him. The Rockies have already stolen a pair tonight. Ball 1 to Reynolds. So just to update, coverage on SNY starts at 5:30. Ceremonies start at 6:30 tomorrow night. So be on your couch at 5:30 or in your seat at the ballpark at 6:30.
Got the wrong time. I had my flight landing, at 6 o'clock. That's the original time I got from you.
Where are you going?
I go to Miami this weekend.
So you get to see the there's tomorrow night's game, 5:30. We now have it on the graphic, so now it's official. No picks, didn't happen, but there you go. 2-1 to Reynolds.
Well, I know that Ichiro Suzuki's starting tonight. He's 2 hits away,
Right.
and I thought maybe I might catch it on Sunday, but probably not now.
Well, you never know.
Yeah, you never know.
You also get Andrew Kashner's first start as a Marlins.
I do.
Story at first and nobody out, and Reynolds fouls back the fastball 2-2.
See Reynolds shaking his head. Matz fortunate to get away with that pitch.
Up to 91 pitches, no hint of action yet in the Mets bullpen. Matz got through 6 innings with 99 pitches his last start. Didn't allow a run in that game. Had a lot less traffic on the bases than he's had tonight. 8 hits against him, plus a walk. And a low throw, and Loney bails him out.
All home run sluggers are all the same, especially the right-handed hitting ones. You have to tie them up inside because they want extension. And once you tie them up inside, then you can go away. But they want that ball out over the plate. They don't like it in on their hands.
None of them?
Not many of them. Bob Horner?
How about Barry Bonds?
Well, Barry's different. Barry was right on that plate. And guys, even though they thought they were getting in on him, a lot of those pitches are middle by the time they got there.
Of course, he was halfway up on the bat, too.
Yeah.
Two and two to Reynolds with the left-hand hitter Dahl on deck. And the curveball bounced foul. That's his walk 1. He struck out 5. His next start will be at Yankee Stadium next Wednesday night. Let's play the first 2 with the Yankees here Monday, Tuesday, then in the Bronx Wednesday, Thursday. You'll be back for that.
Yes, of course. Never miss those games. You never know what's going to happen.
Who will be playing for what team by next week?
Right.
2-2. Lined into center field. A base hit for Reynolds. Story around second. He'll go to third. Trying for second is Reynolds. The throw by Conforto, but Walker can't handle it. And Story arrives. Reynolds arrives safely. The throw was there in plenty of time. Conforto with a tremendously accurate arm, but Walker couldn't pick it up.
Well, trying to go inside, but the ball left over the middle of the plate, and Reynolds tattooed it. Conforto now gets to it and gets it before it gets to the track. And of course, Story's got that good speed, so he knows it's to the right of Conforto. He can go first to third. But Reynolds does not have a lot of speed at 32 years old. And Conforto comes up and throws a strike. Now, does it short hop Walker? A little bit. But it's a play that I'm sure Neil would say he's got to make.
So second and third and nobody out. Mets bring the infield most of the way in against David Dahl, who takes a fastball for a strike.
Here's the throw. Never got a glove on it. Hit him right in the numbers.
Now the infield a little further back after that first pitch strike. And Dahl lifts it shallow left. Out goes Cabrera. In comes Cespedes, and he snags it off the top of Cabrera's head to get the out. That was very dangerous. Cabrera calling all the way, and Cespedes running on one bad wheel called him off. And Cabrera just managed to slide out of the way.
Well, the reason that Cespedes is calling Cabrera off there is that the guy moving in, of course, has a better play with the runner tagging at third base, although Story wasn't going to be able to go anywhere because it was so short. But just on the end of the glove of Cespedes.
So now second and third and one out. You got the number 8 hitter Hundley at the plate. The pitcher Chatwood due up next. Nobody up in the bullpen. First base open. Let's bring the infield in. And it's pulled down to third past Flores, base hit, and the Rockies go in front. Story comes in. Reynolds holds at third. Nick Hundley with an RBI single to put Colorado up 2-1.
Well, coming right at you here, Wilmer off the line, balls to his left, a couple of steps. It was interesting as he got ready for that ball, he was kind of off the ground, so by the time the ball was almost to him, his feet hit the ground and then he moved to his left, which was too late.
Well, the Mets opting to go after the number 8 hitter with first base open and the pitcher on deck. Chatwood's a good hitting pitcher, but Hundley rakes the first pitch and drives in the go-ahead run. Now first and third and one out. Chatwood is 0 for 2. He's grounded out and struck out. Mets bring the infield most of the way in. And Chatwood stabs at the bunt, misses, 0-1.
We talked about Chatwood's average before, pretty good hitting pitcher, but you want to stay out of the double play if you're Walt Weiss. That's why you're bunting here. I mean, you want to move the runner ahead. So you got second and third with a couple of outs, but still.
Seth Lugo up in the Mets bullpen. And of course, if he gets a bunt down toward third, Reynolds can follow Flores in and maybe you have a safety squeeze opportunity. I mean, this was interesting on the setup of Flores. It just looked like he got set too late.
When you want to get in ready position, you want your feet on the ground, but see, his feet are going up. Not up, but they were in the air before he took a step, and his step was to his right, not to his left. I guess what I'm trying to say is that when you get in that ready position, you want to be able to move either way equally, and that right there, he was a little leaning on his right side. I mean, Picayune, Hundley hit it pretty hard.
You know, those little things, the difference between ball going off the tip of your glove and maybe snagging it. That's about to throw his 100th pitch of the night. 1-2 to Chatwood. Nats has given up 10 hits tonight, which matches the most he's allowed in a game in his career. Gave up 10 in a game at Cincinnati last year. Reynolds at third, Hundley at first with one out. Colorado with a run home. They've gone in front 2-1. And Chatwood pushes the bunt. Runner holds at third. Loney makes the play on Chatwood, so the sacrifice goes 3-4, moving Hundley to second. Let's check in with the studio. CJ Papa has a game break brought to you by your local Honda dealers. Jeremy Hazelbaker with a home run in that game for the Cardinals. So 2 in scoring position. Charlie Blackmon, the batter, is already 3 for 3 tonight. 2 singles and a double. Every one of them hit to left field. Reynolds at third, Hundley at second with 2 out. And the changeup on the inside corner, 0-1. called a strike. Blackmon with 3 hits tonight. He's had a 6-hit game in his career.
Like Wilmer.
Matz at 103 pitches. He's never thrown more than 110 in a major league game. And Blackmon grounds this one on the right side. Walker bobbles it momentarily, but makes the play, and that retires the side. Rockies take the lead on Huntley's RBI hit. 2-1 Colorado going to the bottom of the 6th. ...104 pitches over 6 exhausting innings.
Yeah, it was. It's warm, humid out here. He did a really nice job with Travis d'Arnaud. I mean, meandering their way around 10 hits and a walk.
Well, he certainly did awfully well to limit the damage to 2 runs. Yoenis Cespedes leads off the home 6th and takes a strike from Tyler Chatwood. Cespedes is grounded out and flied out 0 for 2. Loney and Walker to follow. Mets have had just 2 hits while the Rockies have had 10. And that's grounded down to third. Arenado on the backhand. Cespedes still not able to run full speed. Arenado throws him out easily, 1 away. Well, the Mets only run of this game came on 1 big swing of the bat by James Loney in the 2nd inning. Got a 2-0 pitch and made no mistake.
Well, that big leg kick and powerful swing from Loney. You know, it's been his entire career. I think, Gary, everyone has expected him to be a 15 to 20 home run guy. He's been that kind of guy since he's come over for the Mets.
He's got 6 home runs in 182 at bats. And that's, you know, a 20 home run pace for a full season.
Yep.
But he's never hit more than 15 in a major league season, and he hit just 4 last year. So it's that time of year. It's silly season, right? Because the trading deadline's Monday.
Yeah.
The White Sox are playing in Minnesota tonight. And Todd Frazier was a late scratch from the White Sox lineup. And of course, Twitter goes crazy.
Yeah, it's a buzz.
He has the flu.
Calm down.
It's been an odd year for Frazier, his first year on the South Side. A lot of home runs, but has not hit well.
It's amazing how that ballpark plays so small now. I remember playing in it before they had a lot of the signage, and it was a very fair ballpark to pitch in. But now the ball seems to jump out of there.
That's it toward the middle of the diamond. Base hit. Loney's second hit of the night just got it past Story. And the Mets have a one-out base runner. Only their third hit in the game.
Well, I thought that was a definite hit, and then Story covered a lot of ground, almost got there. Nice hitting by James.
So the tying run aboard with one out, and Neil Walker, who's hit the ball hard twice tonight, singled to left and then lined out to first. 7 hits in his last 9 at bats as he gets things turned around. And a knee-high strike, 0-1. Your Jeep Mets box score: Loney with the home run, 2 hits tonight. Walker has the other, and that's been it. Late swing foul off the fence in front of the third base dugout. If he had hit that same ball 20 years ago, somebody would have been scrambling in that third base dugout.
Balls used to just rifle into the dugout all the time. You always had to be alert.
Of course, everybody hangs on the front railing now, but there used to be no railing.
But at least there's a place to go down if you have to.
Seems to me the impetus for putting those fences up was when Matt Keogh got hit in the head during spring training in
Scottsdale. He was with the Giants.
And that was what, early 90s?
Yeah, I think he was was he a coach of the Giants or still pitching?
I think he was still pitching.
Yeah.
Walker gets a piece and fouls it back. We mentioned these earlier. Tyler Chatwood. Coors Field-ish numbers in Colorado and extraordinary numbers away from Coors Field. He had not allowed a home run on the road until tonight when Loney took him deep. 1-2 to Walker. At his feet with a cutter. 2-2. Chatwood making his 19th start after missing all of last year. Had Tommy John surgery July of 2014. "97 pitches in 5 innings in his last start. 91 tonight. No action behind him as he works with a 2-1 lead in the 6th. Throw over. Loney no threat to go anywhere.
People ask, why does the pitcher throw over when James Loney's on first base? You know what it is? Just a brain cramp. That's all it is.
Wanted to see which way Alan Porter would move.
No.
Walker hits a double play ball. LeMahieu with the flip. Story with the turn. 4-6-3 double play. Side retired. Rockies turn their second double play of the night.
pitch to Piazza. Swinging a drive deep down the left field line toward the corner. It's out of here! Out of here! Mike Piazza with a line drive 3-run homer. Piazza drives in a run for a 13th straight game, and the first time in 21 years the Mets have put up a 10-run inning, and this place is absolute bedlam here at Shea.
What a night that was in the Mets World Series run in 2000. The Mets were down 8-1 going to the bottom of the 8th, and they rallied for 10, capped by that Piazza home run off Terry Mulholland against the Braves at a time when that rivalry was at its sizzling hottest. Eric Goodell on to pitch the 7th inning.
Hasn't pitched since the first game of the doubleheader when he got a couple outs, one by a strikeout.
DJ LeMahieu 1 for 2 and a walk. There are so many moments like that during Mike's Mets career. I think, to me, that's what makes him so special. And, you know, you think about guys who are catchers and great offensive players, best offensive player on their team. Fly ball out to right field, chasing Granderson back, but he'll get there to retire LeMahieu one away. You know, whether a Johnny Bench or a Gary Carter or in Mike's case. And you think about all the abuse that they take in the course of a game and in the course of a season, and it's always been remarkable to me that late in a game, and Mike was able to do this spectacularly throughout his career, late in the game able to come up after all that abuse, all the foul balls and everything else, and get a big hit in a big spot.
You know, I wasn't living in New York at the time, so the other night we saw Cespedes have that at bat against Wainwright. Tell me Piazza had a lot of at bats like that.
You know, he wasn't always a deep in the count guy.
Okay.
He was an attack guy. I mean, his swing was so violent and so all-encompassing.
Yeah.
It was almost like he put his entire self into every swing.
To me, it felt like a tornado of a swing.
But his sense of the moment was phenomenal. It's a good splitter by Goodell, 1-1. Most home runs ever by a catcher. Highest slugging percentage for a catcher. He changed the conversation here when he got here in 1998. Somebody once said, I forgot who said it first, maybe it was Bobby Valentine who said, the Mets in 1998, because they had come close to getting to the postseason the year before in 97. And they were pretty much in the same circumstance in 98 where they had pretty good pitching. They had a few good players. They were a nice little team. And when Piazza got here, they were something different.
Yeah.
They had their superstar, their slugger. I mean, they had Edgardo Alfonso and they had John Olerud, who got here in 98. Were very good players. But Piazza was a front and center guy.
Well, he was a star player who could deliver in the clutch in New York. I mean, add all that up. Doesn't happen very often.
And, you know, a guy who always had stuff swirling around him and handled it about as well as you can. And what I always liked is the fact that, well, look at that, what the Mets have done in center field.
Fantastic.
Putting his 31 in the grass for the ceremony tomorrow. Is that Mike had so many interests away from baseball. He was one of the most interesting players to talk to away from the field about stuff that had nothing to do with the game.
Yeah, he was fully evolved, wasn't he?
Arenado pops one up. Granderson coming on. 2 out. The Mets have done a great job against Nolan Arenado so far in this series. 0 for 9 now in the first 2 games.
They've done a pretty good job against the entire Rockies offense. To no avail so far.
Rockies won 2-1 last night. They're up 2-1 tonight in the 7th. Here's Carlos Gonzalez, who drove in the first Colorado run with a double in the first. Matz struck him out in his next 2 at-bats. Matz went 6, allowed 2 runs, 10 hits, a walk, 5 strikeouts through 104 pitches. And Cargo pops it up. Cabrera trailing out. Side retired. Well, tomorrow night will be Mike's night when his number will be retired here at Citi Field. Night starters. Steven Matz had to work around a lot of trouble through his 6 innings. Tyler Chatwood is out a more efficient outing. Wilmer Flores leads off in the home 7th inning. Flores has been up twice and struck out twice against Chatwood. 2 of his 3 strikeouts on the night. Cabrera and Conforto to follow. And we check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Gary, as you mentioned earlier in the broadcast, tonight is 1 year to the day since the Flores trade, non-trade game. And he was thinking back on it today, said that as much as that moment endeared him to Mets fans, that night he was actually embarrassed that everybody saw him cry. It wasn't until Bartolo Colon led a group of players over to him in the clubhouse and told him that they too cried the first time they got traded. The only difference was that they were out of the game and they did it in the clubhouse. Nothing to be ashamed of. He said that was the moment he felt better.
There has never been, that I can recall, a more humanizing moment for a Mets player than what happened with Wilmer a year ago tonight.
I agree with you. You know, when you think about it, as opposed to, you know, we're trading some widgets over to another team, that there's a human element to it. You know, the signing as a 16-year-old, the only organization he'd ever known. His first chance to get to play regularly.
Well, and then the events that transpired over the next few days. You know, that horrible loss the next day to the Padres, and then that incredible victory the night after that with Wilmer hitting the game-winning home run against the Nationals. Rolled down to third, Arenado on the charge, and gets Flores one away.
He does something different than I've never seen any third baseman. He runs up 3 or 4 steps before he lets it go. I think that's really just to show off his arm. He's got a great arm.
Maybe he's an aspiring cricket bowler.
There you go.
One out and nobody on now is Drupal Cabrera, who's been up twice and popped up both times. Rockies have the bullpen working. Chatwood about to throw his 100th pitch, and he threw it by Cabrera, 0-1. Well, Tyler Chatwood, 4 prior starts against the Mets, 2-0, 1.57, and he has not hurt those numbers so far tonight. Gave up the home run to Loney leading off in the second, and nothing since. And Cabrera wanted time and got it granted. That pitch did not count. Chadwood said, "Who called it?"
Well, for a pitcher, you don't want the player to be able to just call time and step out. Umpire's got to call time.
One and two to Cabrera. Michael Conforto waiting on deck. The Rockies have won 7 of their last 8, and they've gotten great starting pitching during that stretch. Their starters ERA is 1.80 over the last 8 games, and Chatwood continuing that tonight.
The two Tylers have looked good. Anderson yesterday and Chatwood tonight.
He's at 103. His season high is 106. Remember, he's 2 years removed now from Tommy John surgery. Missed all of last year. Scott Oberg, one of the true heroes of the Rockies' victory yesterday, is up in their bullpen. Too high to Cabrera. Now a full count. Chatwood has walked 4. 3 of those came in the first 2 innings. Seth Lugo up again in the Mets bullpen, with the pitcher due up 4th in this inning. 3-2 coming. And Cabrera strikes out. Strikeout number 4 for Chatwood. 2 out. Let's go back to Nolan Arenado. Won Gold Gloves each of his first 3 years in the major leagues. Before the game, he was talking about how he gets ready prior to the game.
I take it from the back of the grass. You know, I do a different thing. I do double plays. I do backhands. I do forehands. I mean, I'm constant. I do it every day, and there's so many different plays I do. I do the jump throw, Derek Jeter play. You know, I work on those things, and you know, I don't know a lot of people work on those things because you know it kind of gets exhausting. But it's something that I know that it can occur in the game, and I want to make sure I have it down.
Only the second player in Major League history ever to win a Gold Glove each of his first 3 years.
I don't think I've ever heard of a player that works on the plays that no one else works on.
That's how you get the gold.
Yeah.
Conforto pops one up, shallow left. In comes Dahl, and that retires the side. Tyler Chatwood has worked his way through 7. We go to the 8th. Rockies up 2-1. Fitzpatrick deal, plus a behind-the-scenes look at Jets camp as the crew reports from Florham Park on Jets Nation Inside Camp. Premieres Sunday at 8, only on SNY. Drive Around the Majors presented by Chevy. John Lester got his 11th win this afternoon with 6 scoreless innings for the Cubs. Ichiro Suzuki starting. No hits though so far tonight, still 2 shy of 3,000. Marlins down to the Cardinals 11-6 in the 7th. And the Nats are in San Francisco with Scherzer against Samardzija. Nats won yesterday 4-2 behind Tanner Roark. Trevor Story fouls one off. See what Dusty Baker did with his bullpen in the 9th inning last night?
I did.
Papelbon got an out, gave up a hit on a walk, and came out of the game.
Short leash.
So they brought in Ollie to get the second out, and then Kelly to get the third out.
Well,
now, in the moment, you can certainly understand that Dusty needed to do that to win the game. But what impact does that have on his closer going forward?
Well, it'll have none if they trade for a closer. But, you know, Pap is a different kind of cat. You know what I mean? So he's going to, you know, he's not going to internalize it and say, you know, whatever's best for the team. He feels as though he is the best person to close games. But you know what? When you're a manager of a ball club, you owe it to the other 25 guys. If one of the people are not getting the job done, you got to go to plan B. That's just how it works.
Trevor Story 1 for 3 tonight, scored the go-ahead run in the 6th inning.
We've seen, sorry Gary, we've seen Pap a few times. He's not the same pitcher that he was. You know, he's got to mix it up a lot more, and he's having a little trouble doing that right now.
It's the other side of that equation in that game last night is the Giants, who've now lost 10 of 12 since the All-Star break. Now, they did make a trade. They picked up Eduardo Nunez, who was having an All-Star season with Minnesota. And they got Joe Panik back from the disabled list last night. And they should get Hunter Pence back from the disabled list this weekend. So that should help.
And Matt Duffy's on rehab. So Nunez really is there to back in case Panik and Duffy, when they do come back, with Panik's back now, that if they have any lingering effects from those injuries.
Panik coming back from a concussion, so you never know. Popped it up. And Cabrera uses 2 hands, 1 away. So Goodell has retired 4 in a row.
We were looking at that front foot right on his toe, and you watch it as he lifts it up and kind of hovers it near the plate and then proceeds out to the pitcher with that stride and rolls over that ankle.
If he tapes his ankle.
Yeah, right. So most of the hitters now kind of roll over on that ankle.
1 out. Here's Mark Reynolds, who doubled in the 6th inning. And it takes the curveball outside. Drilled to deep left field. Forget it. That's long gone off the bat of Mark Reynolds. Well, Mark Reynolds, who has made this ballpark look small before, adds to the Rockies' lead with his 11th home run of the year. And it's now 3-1 Colorado.
Well, behind in the count, Eric tried to come in with a fastball and didn't get it there. You have to say Mr. Reynolds likes hitting at Citi Field.
His 6th career home run in this ballpark, but only his 2nd since 2009.
Just jumped all over that fastball. Pretty straight there by Goodell.
Almost won himself a Mercedes.
Like the free suit?
No, I don't think so. But it's a good thought.
Right?
That was at Ebbets Field. Abe Stark had the sign that said, "Hit sign, win suit." Nobody ever hit it.
Some serious bat speed. Reynolds has always had it. when you watch his swing, it's pretty level. And it goes right through that zone. The thing is about Reynolds' swing, it's kind of a groove swing. It really doesn't change too much. It's going to be right on that plane. And if you throw it in that plane, you're in trouble.
You know what the key to the hit sign win suit thing was?
What?
The sign was on the right field wall at Ebbets Field, and it was fairly low. Well, Carl Furillo played right field for the Dodgers. He didn't let anything get behind him, so nobody ever hit the sign. And back in those days, you know, ball players didn't make a whole lot of money.
Right.
You win a suit, that would be a big deal.
Exactly.
Guys are taking their shots. Nobody ever hit it. It would be about the equivalent of giving away a Mercedes if somebody hit the logo.
Abe had a smile all those years.
Yeah. Got a lot of good free advertising, that's for sure. Goodell can't throw his curveball for a strike, and it's 2-2.
Well, I like this young player Dahl's approach. He has what they call kind of quiet feet, quick hands. You know, there's not a lot of movement.
And he gets called out on strikes as Goodell got that curveball over for his first strikeout. 2 out in the inning. Let's check in with the studio. CJ Papa has another game break brought to you by the New York State Smokers Quit Line. Why would he mention Jonathan Lucroy?
It doesn't matter where Chris Carter plays. Just hits home runs. And he mentioned Lucroy because everyone else is mentioning it.
See, here's the thing. When you get into this 72-hour window before the trading deadline,
Yeah.
everybody's name gets mentioned at some point.
Well, of course, of course. I'll tell you though, it's not that much fun for the player, especially today. It's got to be even more difficult.
Nick Hundley drove in the go-ahead run with a base hit in the 6th inning. Well, I said this after the whole Wilmer Flores thing last year, and I'll say this again. The reason that all the stuff came out on Twitter before the trade was official wasn't because the writers wrote things they shouldn't have. The reason it came out is because front office people told writers things that they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And maybe it will chasten front offices this year to be a little more tight-lipped as we head toward the deadline.
Doubt it.
Back-to-back strikeouts for Goodell. The home run by Reynolds makes it 3-1 Colorado. you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. Sunday on Mets Insider, you know all his memorable moments on the field, but who is Yoenis Cespedes? Get an inside look at his childhood, his family, and his journey to the majors on Mets Insider, presented by W.B. Mason, Sunday at 4:30, only on SNY. Jake McGee, who couldn't get an out yesterday, comes right back in to pitch tonight.
He might have had the most unusual experience on the mound I've seen in some time. Gave up hits to the first 2 batters on the first 2 pitches, and then had to intentionally walk Cespedes. So 6 pitches, 2 hits, and a walk. And
he left with the bases loaded and nobody out, and somehow was not charged with a run because Scott Oberg came in and got the next 3 hitters. In that inning yesterday, Alejandro De Aza doubled to left center against McGee, so he'll get the crack at McGee tonight. De Aza's been swinging the bat much better in the month of July. He's got his batting average up to 195, which doesn't sound like much, but he was hitting 158 when the month began. And in fact, with Juan Lagares now down and about to undergo wrist surgery, Mets are short of right-handed bats. And Terry Collins said tonight that when the Mets face a lefty, there's every chance that De Aza is going to start. Because they just don't have another right-handed option in that outfield other than Cespedes. Jake McGee at one time a much harder thrower pitching for Tampa Bay.
When he pitched with Tampa Bay, people used to go up against him. He would only throw 1 pitch, his fastball. That was it. That's how good it was.
Granderson and d'Arnaud to follow. Mets have had just 3 hits tonight. And the slider off the plate, 2-2. Tyler Chatwood was terrific again. Beat the Mets earlier this year. Has a chance to go 3-0 lifetime against New York. Chatwood went 7, allowed a run on 3 hits, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts, 108 pitches, most he's thrown this year. Two for McGee, and De Aza has another base hit against the lefty. How about that? And the Mets will get the tying run to the plate in the 8th inning.
Well, if he throws you a fastball away, go that way. Choked up on the bat, just trying to make contact with 2 strikes. Nice job by De Aza. Contact late because he's trying to protect. Really just wants to put it in play, find a hole. He did.
And that got him above the Mendoza line. Alejandro De Aza is up to 202.
Good.
There's Granderson. And Curtis takes it low. Granderson 0 for 2 and a walk today. Well, it's been a long, slow climb for Alejandro De Aza, who just had a miserable first 3 months of the season. But he has worked so hard with Kevin Long and Pat Russler to get things going, and it's paying off now. 2-0 now to Granderson. So McGee has now faced 4 batters in this series, giving up 3 hits and a walk. Travis d'Arnaud on deck, and there's a safety net behind McGee in the bullpen. With right-hand hitters after Granderson, you have to figure they'll get a right-hander in the game. It would have to be Oberg again, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
After the job he did yesterday, and there he is. Maybe they should just start the inning with him.
He doesn't like to pitch unless people are on base.
It's that UConn thing. It's like Okafor swatting shots. That's looped into center field, falling fast. Blackman will have to play it on a hop. And the Mets have the tying runs on base. A little parachute by Granderson, and the Mets have back-to-back hits to start the 8th inning.
Well, Jake McGee now has faced 5 batters, given up 4 hits and an intentional walk, as this one looped between the outfielders in left center. Fastball away off the end of the bat from Granderson, but he gets the hit.
Well, McGee couldn't retire a batter yesterday. He couldn't retire a batter tonight. And for the 2nd straight day, he'll give way to the UConn Husky product, Scott Oberg. Tying runs on base for the Mets. Called to the bullpen, brought to you by Verizon. Oberg came into a bases loaded, nobody out jam in the 7th, and he was brilliant.
Got Kelly Johnson on a force out at home. Trevor Story, nice play. And then Curtis Granderson came up on a 3-2 slider, struck him out. And then Wilmer Flores with a high heater gets the pop up to center field. And that was it. That was the 7th yesterday, coming to be the 8th today.
First and second, nobody out. Travis d'Arnaud, the batter, against the 26-year-old Oberg, who grew up in Tewksbury, Massachusetts, and then went to Storrs to play for UConn. d'Arnaud breaks his bat, rolls it out to Arenado, and he'll get the lead runner for the first out. So 1 pitch, 1 broken bat, 1 out.
Shards of lumber everywhere as Oberg runs that fastball right in on the hands of d'Arnaud. And Arenado made the right play. Just waited for that ball to get to him. Look at De Aza trying to avoid the bat. Boy, went right over his head.
I think it clipped him. I think it clipped his helmet.
You're right.
Jeez. You saw the reaction of Trevor Story. Alejandro appears to be okay. He said, yeah, he whacked me right there. So now Cespedes with the tying runs on base and 1 out.
Yeah, it did. Felt his head right away. Thought he had the helmet on.
Cespedes 0 for 3 tonight. And he pops it up. Into foul ground comes Reynolds. And that's the 2nd out. So Oberg's thrown 2 pitches and gotten 2 outs. Mets are now 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position tonight. They began the night hitting .204 as a team with runners in scoring position, which for a full season would be the lowest since the 1969 San Diego Padres, who lost 110 games. Here's Loney. It's been the only bright spot for the Mets tonight with the bat. He homered in the 2nd, then he had a base hit in the 6th. 2 of the Mets' 5 hits on the night. Ground ball. LeMahieu playing deep. Throws out Loney. Oberg comes in, throws 3 pitches, gets 3 outs. That's just beyond the pale. Mets offensive woes sink to a new level. 3-1 Rocky. was over and Scott Oberg came into the Rockies dugout, it's almost as though they were in disbelief at what they had just seen.
Well, 2 days in a row now, and you see the catcher Nick Hundley, they're all giving him high fives. I mean, it's something that you and I were talking about in break. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. A rally started against the pitcher. Another pitcher comes in and throws 3 pitches, 3 light contact, 3 outs.
See, that's the thing. I mean, look, there's nothing against as Antonio Bastardo comes in to pitch the top of the 9th. There's nothing wrong with swinging at the first pitch in an RBI situation, but to make bad contact in all 3 at-bats against the first pitch is almost incomprehensible. Yeah. And as a pitcher, you must just be thinking, I've just been handed a great gift.
Well, the gift is Jake McGee, Scott Oberg.
Christian Adames is the pinch hitter leading off against Bastardo. Well, McGee might buy him a Rolex or something.
That's right. I'm sure that Oberg has some family here, being from the Northeast.
It was Adames who laid down the bunt against Jeurys Familia in the 9th last night. The bunt that never rolled foul.
Adames hit the ground ball, I think, that Loney missed. Descalso,
right.
I think, with the bunt. Remember, he brought Adames up because he makes more contact, and he did make contact.
Right. And with Descalso running in front of Loney, Loney kicked the ground ball as the lead run came home. 1-2 now. Now Carlos Estevez, the Rockies closer, getting ready in the bullpen. Mets will have Walker, Flores, and Cabrera coming up in the bottom of the 9th. And Bastardo strikes out Adames for the first out. Well, the glider is in the house. Ed Charles is here at the ball game tonight.
The Mets poet laureate.
1969 was his last year as a Major League Baseball player. He was 36 years old. It was his last chance to play for a winner. He'd spent most of his career with the Kansas City Athletics, not a very good team. And there was nobody more elated than Ed Charles when the Mets won it all.
Boy, how about
he was the older sage on a very young team.
Talk about making the most of an opportunity.
Well, when Jerry Koosman got the final out in Game 5 against the Orioles, Charles is the first guy in the picture. Charlie Blackmon rips one down the right field line, and he's got his 4th hit of the night. Granderson has to go get it. Blackman's going to take the turn and hold at second with a 1-out double. 2 singles, 2 doubles tonight for Charlie Blackmon, all against left-handed pitching.
Well, slider in the middle of the plate. And that's the first hit that Blackmon has pulled in this game. Any other circumstance, he might have thought of going for 3, but not with 1 out.
Now DJ LeMahieu, who's 1 for 3 and a walk tonight. Final in Toronto tonight. The Blue Jays take the opener of their series with the Orioles 6-5. Toronto's now just a half game out of first place.
It's really interesting. The Blue Jays team, they're looking to get a starting pitcher to take the place of their best starting pitcher as they're half a game out in the race.
Aaron Sanchez, who's reaching innings territory he hasn't been in before. DJ LeMahieu waits on Bastardo, as do we all. Ball 1.
Well, Blackmon stays in there against left-handers. I mean, four hits tonight, obvious, but a lot of left-handers give a little bit. You see Carlos Gonzalez, a great hitter. He gives a little bit against lefties. Blackmon does not.
Well, 4 for 5 tonight. He has the 4 hits, all against the lefties. Matz and now Bastardo. By the way, in that Toronto win, they had 3 home runs, including the 17th for the former Rocky, Troy Tulowitzki. There hadn't been much reason to celebrate that deal in Toronto over the last 12 months. But Tulo, he's a special player.
Yes.
Just has not performed like a special player north of the border.
Well, he's been, I think, physically challenged with the injuries now here a little later in his career. But I'll tell you, those 2 teams can hit some homers, Baltimore and Toronto.
Edwin Encarnacion hit his 28th tonight for Toronto.
Big guy, little dog.
Is that like a thing?
I guess so.
2-1.
There's Ottavino warming up, so Estevez probably has the night off.
Adam Ottavino at the Berkeley Carroll School in Brooklyn. He was hurt the first time the Mets faced the Rockies this year. This will be his first game against his hometown team this season.
I've never seen a hitter call timeout like that. That wasn't a timeout to the umpire because he wasn't ready. It was a timeout from exhaustion, waiting.
We need to do an experiment. We need to see what we can do between Antonio Bastardo's pitches. What we can accomplish. I mean, I'm thinking we should try to get a little exercise in. Maybe do some push-ups between pitches. Except I'm afraid
I might max out.
You know, it might be one of those sets where you go to exhaustion.
Embarrassing moments for both of us.
Three and one now to LeMahieu. I'm thinking it might be possible to book a flight between pitches.
Well, we know Keith can make a reservation for dinner easily. But let's make him make a tough one like Le Bernardin or something.
Will grass grow? Popped it up. In comes Granderson. 2 out. Well, it's finally time to answer our Verizon trivia question, the real one. The first regular season home run in Rockies history. We know Eric Young hit the first one at home, but it was Dante Bichette. Of course, it was Dante Bichette.
How'd you not know that?
Should have known that. See, what I remember from Bichette was not that one. It was the one in the first ever game at Coors Field.
Walk-off, right?
In the 14th inning.
Pumped his fist.
35 degrees, 5.5 hours. Remember it well. His first one, though, for the Rockies came against Brett Saberhagen in the second game in Rockies history. After they were shut out in the first game by Doc, they lost 6-1 in the second game. Intentional walk to Arenado, and Bichette homered for the only run. I think I've come up with a challenge, and it's one that you're familiar with.
Yeah.
I know that late in your career, you wrote a country song.
Oh, yeah.
Sitting, was it in the bullpen or the dugout?
No, it was in Vegas with Bobby Witt.
Okay.
At a poker at a blackjack table.
I'm thinking we might be able to write a country song between pitches. Intentional walk to Arenado. See what happens when Noah Syndergaard gets a second job working in the Mets clubhouse shop on an all-new episode of the SNY.TV digital series, The Amazing Life, presented by Coca-Cola. Check it out now on SNY.TV/Coca-Cola. Noah will be on the mound Sunday afternoon in the final game of this series. 2 out and 2 on for the Rockies in the top of the ninth. Carlos Gonzalez, who drove in the first Colorado run with a first inning double, 1 for 4 on the night. Rockies 3 runs and 12 hits. The Mets 1 run and 5 hits. Goes after the first pitch slider, 0-1.
Cool looking lantern out in right center. I like that shot. Makes the ballpark look older in a sense.
One and 1 to Cargo. Up until yesterday, the Mets had alternated wins and losses in their first 12 games out of the All-Star break. And then they lost their second straight yesterday. And now they're in danger of losing a third straight today. It's a very precarious time of year, as the Mets found out last year. Last year, though, the cavalry was on the way, although the Mets could not have known it at the time.
Yeah.
There's no cavalry this year. This team needs to be better with the group that's here. And the stunning lack of RBI hits has got to change if this team wants to have a chance. Two and 2 to Bastardo. Last year, once the Mets made the changes, bringing in Cespedes and Johnson and Uribe, bringing up Conforto, getting d'Arnaud and right back to the disabled list, everything changed.
Everything jumped, spiked.
Mets went from the lowest scoring team in the league before the trading deadline to the highest scoring team after. 2-2 coming in the dirt. Full count.
You know, Gary, we showed something interesting before on one of our graphics. It was, you know, RISP numbers in their career and their numbers this year, and almost everyone is down. And Terry Collins always talks about back of the baseball card. That's what guys should do. They haven't been able to get it done this year.
Well, the question is there regression toward the mean, and can it happen soon enough to make a difference? Runners get set to go. Blackman and Arenado with 3 and 2 and 2 out. And Gonzalez drills one deep right field. Forget that. That is long gone. Right in front of the Shea Bridge. A 3-run bomb off the bat of Carlos Gonzalez to break this game open. Number 21 for Cargo, and it's 6-1 Colorado.
Well, 3-2. Bastardo tries to come with the cutter slider, and it just ends up right in the middle of the plate. And good hitters do this to pitches like that. I mean, it might not be the longest home run we've seen here, but boy, that was hit pretty much on the line out of here.
To those seats right in front of the Shea Bridge. It's the first home run Cargo's hit on the road since June the 5th. Mets were down 2-1 in this game going to the 8th, but 2 home runs against the Mets bullpen. Reynolds in the 8th, and now Gonzalez a 3-run shot in the 9th. And that sends the fans streaming toward the exits.
Well, when these guys before a game put the ball on the tee to work on their swing, that's exactly where they put it. About that height and middle.
1 and 2 to Story, who's 1 for 4 tonight.
We've had some fans this year sitting in strange places that have been able to get home run baseballs. I mean,
well, the one Cespedes hit on the upper deck, that comes to mind immediately. Seem to remember Alex Rodriguez hitting one in the neighborhood where that one just went,
yes,
which is that much more impressive as a right-hand batter. 1-2 from Bastardo, and Story takes it in the dirt. Most incredible thing I ever saw a right-hand hitter do was at Shea. Remember the old scoreboard there? They had the lineups. The Mets lineup was on the right, and the visitors lineup was on the left, out toward left center field.
And went straight up.
Mark McGwire hit one off the cleanup hitter on the visitors lineup.
Oh, man.
It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Now, he had help, but still.
Still
incredible.
Were you calling that one?
Yes.
Oh.
It was monstrous.
Well, I was a teammate of McGuire's. Most amazing thing I saw him do at Fenway Park off Zane Smith. 3 home runs, first 3 at-bats, 3 pitches.
Kind of like Scott Oakland. Story strikes out to end the inning, but now before Carlos Gonzalez extends the Rockies' lead. Mets come to bat down 6-1. Brought to you by Jeep and the unique brand of freedom you'll only find in the full line of Jeep vehicles. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. Brooklyn native Adam Ottavino on to try and finish it off for the Rockies.
Well, he started his career with the Cardinals, made a start for them, but when he came to the Rockies in 2013, he had 24 appearances of 2 innings or more. The next season, 75 appearances, and then he had to go under the knife last year.
And Tommy John surgery May of last year and has made a fairly quick return. Neil Walker leads off in the last of the 9th and goes after the first pitch fastball. Walker's 1 for 3 tonight. This game was tied 1-1 in the second. Mets had a bases loaded chance, couldn't cash in. Rockies went ahead in the 6th, and they've hit 2 late home runs to make it a 5-run Colorado lead. Last year, the Mets swept the season series from the Rockies, won all 7 meetings. If the Rockies win this game, they'll lead the season series 5-0 this year. One and 2 to Walker with Flores and Cabrera to fall. Adam Ottavino wearing number 0 on his back. Of course, the letter O. Now, Al Oliver did that.
He did.
For part of his career. Also, Ray Ordonez did that for 1 season. Ray wore number 10 most of his career, but for a while wore 0. And the other guy with the Mets who did it was Omar Quintanilla. Just for part of his time as a Met, wore 0.
I didn't know that.
In fact, there are only 3 Mets who've ever worn 0. Ordonez, Quintanilla, and Terry McDaniel. Remember Terry? Was he there when you were there?
No.
Early 80s? Maybe he was before you.
Right before me.
82, yeah. 92, sorry, it was after you.
Who's Berkeley Carroll? In Park Slope or in that?
Yeah, Carroll Gardens.
Carroll Gardens. Okay. Oh, that makes sense.
Three-two, and Walker strokes one into right center, a base hit. So Walker has his 3rd straight multiple hit game. Coming up tonight after the post game, it's Geico Sports Night. All the latest as we move toward the trading deadline Monday. Jets and Giants news as well, all coming up. Geico Sports Night after the post game right here on SNY. Only figurative tears for Wilmer Flores so far tonight. 2 strikeouts and a ground out. Mets have their 6th hit of the night. And Ottavino throws a strike.
Ottavino's throwing pretty hard, though, considering it's what, 13, 14 months out.
His average fastball velocity is down from before the surgery, but that's to be expected. Of course, as a reliever, you can get back a little faster than you would as a starter. Pulled down to third, might be 2, but it comes up on Arenado, and he'll have to settle for the out at first. Has not been his best defensive week.
He had 2 errors in Baltimore, and this ball came up and hit him in the heel of the glove, but he knew he had time for the single out.
And 2 errors Monday. He had another error yesterday. He had another play that he didn't make yesterday that ordinarily he might have. That one as well. So maybe he's just getting it all out of the way this week.
When he should have been working on his defense, he was talking to Gelbs. That was the issue.
There you go. Gelbs kiss of death. Cabrera's popped up twice and struck out 0 for 3. Always want to keep those shoes tied. Be ashamed to trip over a lace and do a header because that's just flat out embarrassing. In the air to right center, hit pretty well. Back toward the gap, looking near the wall is Blackmon to make the catch. A long second out off the bat of Cabrera.
Boy, when he hit that, I thought he caught all of it. And despite the bug running down his arm, Charlie Blackmon got there and made the play.
So the Mets are down to their final out of the night. And Michael Conforto, the batter. Michael's walked twice and flied out. Gully Johnson's out on deck. He'll pinch hit if Conforto can keep it going. The 5th game on the Mets homestand. They've scored 10 runs in the 5 games. And about to fall to 1-4 unless they have an enormous rally in them. Conforto takes a strike, and now the Mets are down to their last strike. Tomorrow night, ceremonies start at 6:30. Honoring Mike Piazza, retiring his number. Perhaps the Mets will draw some inspiration from that. Bartolo Colon will pitch against Jorge De La Rosa tomorrow night. I'm always interested during ceremonies like that tomorrow night. Where will today's players be? Will they be on the top step of the dugout watching?
I think there's a lot of players that when they were kids were Mike Piazza fans. So I think absolutely.
Starting with Travis d'Arnaud, who grew up a huge Mike Piazza fan in Southern California.
Yeah.
And really cites Mike as one of his inspirations for becoming a catcher.
I'd be interested to see all the guests that they'll have. You know, it's kind of a this is your life kind of moment, right? No one can remember that show, by the way.
Ralph Edwards.
Yeah.
And now you're a third grade teacher.
That's right.
I don't suppose they'll be doing that tomorrow night.
You never know.
Walker at second and 2 out. And Conforto watches it up and away, 2-2.
Well, it was quite a Hall of Fame ceremony. To have a #1 pick go in is something. To have a guy that was drafted in the 62nd round is something else.
Highest and lowest draft pick ever to make it to the Hall of Fame. Seventh pitch of the at bat to Conforto. And the breaking ball just missed. Full count. Billy Johnson would be next. Ottavino with the 3-2. And Conforto keeps it going. This will be the 9th pitch of the at bat. Once Ottavino throws it. It's a final in Miami. Cardinals beat the Marlins 11-6. So St. Louis takes over that second wild card spot by a game over Miami. They'll be 2.5 in front of the Mets unless the Mets can rally.
Well, it beat up on him today and beat Fernandez last night. That's pretty impressive.
Three-two coming. Slap to third. Arenado with plenty of time. And the Rockies have beaten the Mets for the second straight day. Mets suffer their third straight loss. They're held to a run on 6 hits as Colorado wins it 6-1.
Well, what do you say about this game? Game was close the whole time, but Bastardo came in and gave up that three-run home run to Carlos Gonzalez. Mats pitched a good game, but Chatwood was a little better.
And Scott Oberg for the second straight day comes in with Jake McGee's runners on base and makes quick work of the Mets to keep the Rockies in front. Colorado just 5 games out of the second wild card and now just 2.5 behind the Mets. Game summary presented by Jeep. Mets now just 4 games over 500 for the season as they drop their third straight. Steven Matz worked out of a lot of trouble, gave up just 2 runs in 6 innings, but he suffers the loss to fall to 8-7 on the season. 6-1 the final. Rockies win it. We'll come back with more from Citi Field in just a moment.